I'm going to give you an Andy tour, okay? And I'm going to talk about laundry carts. So Jordan calls me on the phone and says, hey, I'm thinking about buying a laundromat. And I'll go, okay, send me the setup sheet, and I'll get the setup sheet, and I'll mark up the setup sheet, and I'll send it back to you, and we'll talk about the cash flow. And you go, I still like the laundry. Let's take a look at it. So when I drive up to a location, now it doesn't matter if it's a new location that you want to build a new store, or it's an existing laundromat. So I'm driving down the street, and I look at the location, and I pass it, and I drive, depending upon where I'm at, a half a mile east, a half a mile north, a half a mile west, and a half a mile south, and I will survey what's there. Now, when I come back to this location, the first thing I'm looking for, is it on the corner? Does it have a signal or a stop sign? Is there a crosswalk? Is it in line, meaning is it down the street and it's not on a corner? And is there a competitor across the street? Are all the apartments or the rental houses across the street? People have to walk across. Well, most women and their little chicklins are not going to walk across the street if there's a laundromat on their side. Okay. And the only way they'll do that is if they're a crosswalk. And if it's a big boulevard, forget it. I'm also looking at, what are the natural boundaries? Is there a river? Is there a freeway? Is there a railroad track? These are going to prevent people from coming. They're natural barriers. Okay. Particularly in the cities and the neighborhoods that you and I are used to looking at and seeing, you're like, oh, okay. Natural barriers. And then I look at parking, exposure, ingress and egress in the shopping center. Where is the laundry in the shopping center? Is it in the crotch where the 2 points meet? Does it have a lot of glass? Are there drink and snack and vending machines and candy machines all blocking the glass so that people can't see out and people can't see in? Another safety factor. I don't like machines. I don't like anything in my windows if I can avoid it. I get everything out of my windows. I want the people in there to be able to see out, and I want somebody to be able to see in to see what's going on, because at night, that's what you need. Okay, I'm going to go at night to see if the parking lot's well lit. And if it's not, I'm going to mark down the lights that are out and tell the guy and get the landlord to fix those lights because you don't have any safety or security here. Then I'm going to look at who my tenants are. Liquor store, barbershop, nail salon, dental store. These all eat up parking. So during my normal hours, they're going to compete with me for parking. After hours, most of these aren't open. I get the parking. But how much of that is my business? 30%, 35, 40% at night. So I then get out of my car, and is it safe to get out? Is there parking in front of the laundromat? Or is the parking in the parking lot and I'm walking 20 or 30 feet to get into the laundry? And then I look at you and say, where are my laundry carts? And I walk in there, and you'd be surprised. And you'll laugh. The next time you go into a laundromat and your competitors, you're just going to start to laugh. You're going to go, this guy's only got 11 laundry carts and he has 3,000 square feet. How are you surviving? I mean, you want to spend, what are they, $1.50 now? $1.30, $1.50? Give me 5, just under $1,000, $750, right? You could pick up. The average laundry customer is between $50 and $70 a month. That's a family of 3.5. Okay. So what if you picked up 2 more people because you have carts? You have no idea. It's just another thing. So now I'm looking at carts. I walk in the door and I'm looking at the floor and I'm looking at the ceiling. Now, ceiling tiles. Another pearl for you, for our customers. Okay. You have a leak in the roof. Everybody does. Okay. Well, it could be condensation, okay, from the pipes, okay? It could be an actual leak, but you don't know, and it's not for you to worry about. When you replace that tile, don't replace it. Take the new tile and put the new tile underneath it, and leave the water tile above it so it acts like a sponge, and you will save on ceiling tiles because it'll absorb whatever moisture's coming through, because it already has. It just looks bad. Now you have a clean tile up there for the most part. For another 6 months, it's going to stay clean. When it starts to leak, you take the old one off, you put another one underneath it, and it acts like a sponge. Simple way to save your ceiling and make it look nice.
That's a good tip.
Okay. So now you walk into the laundromat, you're looking around, and what am I looking for? I know that trash on the floor isn't going to push people away. Overflowing trash cans will, because then it's going to go on top of the counter. Then it's going to go here. Also, the the Watchman newspapers that they you don't get to advertise in my laundromat unless you want to pay for it. There's no rent. There's no this. There's none of those bulletin boards that they have outside or inside. All trash. No phones. We all have cell phones now. But I could tell you a story of when I was when I first did Lucy's in Inglewood, where we had a drug problem outside, and there were 4 phones. And phones, like newspaper racks, they can put anywhere they want. They're not regulated. But if you touch them, it's grand theft. They can put them where they want, but you can't touch them. So they wouldn't take the phones out. So I just set about leaving every night. I would take silicone caulk, and I would fill in the corner slots with silicone. And it only took me about a month, and they removed the phones. Even after I asked them to remove the phones, because it was a drug problem and people weren't coming to my laundromat. That was me, and this was 1987 or something like that.
Yeah. Not an issue anymore. For those of you who don't know, there used to be phones that you put quarters into to be able to call people. These are called pay phones.
Right. So now I'm in the laundromat. So I'm looking for trash. I'm looking for the ceiling. And now I'm looking at the overall layout of the store. And as I walk through it, I either chuckle or I smile, because I'm looking at, those are 35-pound Milners. Those are 35 years old. I mean, okay. Now I'm okay. All right. 16 quarters. All right. $4. Okay. All right. Okay. 35. All right. Okay. You're in the right range. Okay. All right. And you see 8 of them, and 4 are working, and 4 look like they've just got baseball bat beaten. And you're like, I don't understand this. And then you look in there and you go, okay, so I do a quick poundage reading on the machines. And I don't care what your machine is, 1020s, 830s, I'm doing my math. And then I just look at all the dryers, and every dryer is a 30-pounder unless they're new ones. And I do the math, and I see if they have the proper amount of ratio of poundage to poundage. Again, I like to have a little more. Sometimes you have a little less. But now I'm looking at mix. I'm looking at flow. Do I have machines that are against a wall so that, and they don't do it anymore. They used to. I haven't seen too many today, but I like to see a free-flowing laundromat where people can walk in the laundromat without getting stopped. Mm-hmm. In the older days, they used to have some laundromats where the machines came out of the walls. And if you were doing your washing, you were in there, you had no way to escape. Well, that's just making the person who's doing their laundry fearful that they can't get out of a situation if someone came in the door and said, how do I get out of here? So I'm looking at the layout. I'm looking at the equipment. I'm looking at the age of the equipment. I'm looking at, are all the lights on? Do they have lights? Are they all working? Are they all functional? And then I leave the store and I sit down in my car and I rate ingress and egress. And that's how I look at a laundromat every time I go to a new laundry. And I count the laundry carts and I give it a grade. And then I sit down with you and say, here's what my discovery was at this particular laundromat. Here's where I think you can improve. You can call me today and say, come down and look at my laundromat. Tell me what you think of them, because I haven't been into your stores. So I'd be more than happy to do that. So, but it just takes another set of eyes, not yours. And it's one of those like, hey, I think I'll do this every 6 months. I'll just have somebody come in and look at my store from their perspective. And it could be another owner that you know in Orange County. Say, hey, come by and rip my store apart. And you get that. I mean, because you realize you're really not in competition with each other.
Right.
You're just trying to gain the mass of people that need their clothing washed. And how do I provide for them? So your competition is really yourself.